You do get upside, but you don't get anywhere near this upside, man. Like this is fans, this is freaking gargantuan. Can you believe, like, even at 1 cent, it's 100x to a dollar? Like, just people can still comprehend that, you know? So we are making progress on that whole story, and everything goes on. The story and the FUD will shift as the price goes up. You'll see more new characters unlocked, more FUDders. And guys, you haven't seen, wait till you see people who are bullish now who sell early and they start FUDding it on the way up. Okay, that you're going to be so shocked. There are people in this room, they're going to Judas us. Okay, there's people in this room, you will sell early. I promise you, you will sell early, and then you will become public FUDder number 1. It will happen. All I'm asking you is split your wallets up, leave your just in case bag. That's all I'm saying. I promise you it will happen, guys. It will happen. You know, Nassim Taleb did it for Bitcoin. Nassim Taleb was, he's the one, he wrote about black swans and stuff out here, right? So he dumped his Bitcoin on the way up in the bull market in 2021, started turbo FUDding it to the shit house. Now it's actually up higher, and people are going, ha ha, it actually went up from your 60K sale, and now he just blocks everybody. So he just fades it. So I think it's interesting, right? We're going to see the same thing in Pdai.
Yeah, I was in the Pdai lounge earlier on. I don't know if many of you guys know what it is. Based OG know what
I was
exactly what it is. They asked me to come, so I came and went in their video chat and spoke, and it was quite funny how many of them absolutely hate me and how many people I'm in their heads rent free. It's quite funny because they went on our freedom chat, private chat, and actually it's freedom of speech Pdai chat that we have. There's 80 of us in there. So we just say what we want. And then about 2 or 3 people got in through MoneyGan for somehow, because he came in and he was kicked by someone. And then these 3 people were watching us, and they were reporting back to on the other channel saying, oh, Daz this, Daz that, because I pissed them off so many times. But yeah, I went on the chat, and they were just, some of them were complete kids. And then some of them were right. The British lads were not too. But I explained the reason why I think it's going to go. I explained I think it's a MakerDAO engineer. That's what it is. Marius talked about it in Amsterdam. And also Richard mentioned something about they're going to do something with Pdai, or someone's in contact with him. And also recently the Sky CAC recently took over Pdai on Ethereum, which is now centralized. That would have been planned in probably about a year or a couple of years in advance anyway. So my thinking is that some of the MakerDAO went, fuck this, we're going to leave, and have gone over to ourselves to make a new stablecoin. So that's what I think, and there was many other things.
That's a very good theory, sir. That's the MakerDAO. Has anybody heard any inkling? That, just to inform everyone, one of our, I guess, thoughts is that because I went and actually checked out, why did MakerDAO, Skynet now, Soynet, why did they introduce the new USD Soy with a blacklist function? And it's as simple as this. They want to take their market cap from 8 billion to 100 billion plus. They went and they consulted all the big funds around the world. They spoke to a lot of big dogs, deep state cabal bankers, the bug eaters. And the bug eaters said, okay, we'll do your coin thing. We'll tokenize in crypto, but you need a blacklist function. You need to follow our rules. And the MakerDAO guys, the OG, started off as cypherpunks. They went, yes, sir. Yes, we'll suck your lollipop. We'll definitely go back on all crypto principles. And that's what's actually happened. Now, it's funny to laugh at, but also it's a reason for Pdai to exist. So that's why our guessing is some of the MakerDAO people privately, they're like, you know what? Fuck these guys. We want to go to a better place. We didn't sign up for this. But none of them will speak publicly. They will not speak publicly about it because all of this was voted with just a couple of wallets, because the guys who own all the MakerDAO tokens. So that's our thinking, friends. I know, but it sounds like it's really conspiratorial because they're like, oh, are they really going to come on a Richard Hart chain? I don't know, man. Like, bro, we got people buying an unbacked stablecoin right now. Things can happen.
Do you know when you joined? Do you know when you joined the Vietnamese exploiter Pdong and one of the speakers? He basically mentioned that his colleagues works in the banks and they're quite high up, and he mentioned that the banks know about Pdai, and the reason why it hasn't pegged yet is because it's a political decision. I think Pdong, if you can hear me, do you want to elaborate a bit more? You mentioned it at the start. That might be relevant to what you're saying.
I've actually forwarded the message on Telegram to Daz. So yeah, it's an aeronautical investor that I know, and he's spoken to a law firm in London City who work with the Trumps, and he was just like saying that, could you just ask about this? I mentioned the Pdai thing, and they came back and said, yeah, we know about this. It should peg, but at the moment there's a political issue. Now, I don't know much more about that, but I do know that Trump's ICO, which is really key, the World Liberty one, they concluded their, I think it was like $1 billion raise a few weeks back, and now they're airdropping this USD1 to all the World Liberty token holders. So there's obviously something going on with a change in with how stablecoins are being used, and just going back to what Sommi said about being conspiratorial about the like the OG make a DAO guys, moving over to Richard Hart. I don't think that's conspiratorial at all, because ultimately, I would even say that the same political issue that could be present, and I don't know what that is, but the same political issue that could be present could be the same political issue that's caused Rabbi and Debank to go, no, we don't want to be a part of this. We don't want to be a part of, because ultimately, if you start backing something that is like anti-government and anti-censor, like uncensorable, that's going to cause massive ramifications to people that are in bed with the bug eaters, as you say. I think it's totally reasonable to expect that Richard has way more friends in the space than we realise. He comes across like a lone wolf. He's been chatting to people on Bitcoin talks. If all what we're seeing being orchestrated right now is people publicly distancing themselves because they know what's about to happen. And the thing is if not even if, when this is pulled off, it sends a blueprint to every single future founder in crypto to wreck every institution. It threatens everything for unbacked money. Do you know what I mean?
It pushed the system into this place where we had to go to auctions, pretty much.
So I think a political change has happened, and in the last couple of weeks, and I think they've decided to go, yeah, we're going ahead with it.
Yeah, so the Mr. Pdong, that was very eloquently put. Thank you for that. That was very insightful. A few things for people to remember as well. Richard Hart has the same lawyers as Elon Musk and Donald Trump. They're called Quinn Emanuel, Quinn. They got like 10 lawyers, right? But that's one of them. There's a common one. They're like, and then Nuclear Herb said, I think these guys are like the most feared lawyers. I think they're the ones the most feared. You just never want to go against them. They reject people based off whether they think they can win or not. They reject money because they're like, oh, we don't think we can win it. We don't care about your 20 million, right? So just that's one example here. Another thing on the political, this isn't guessing. This is 100% true, okay? The new stablecoin policies that come out, there's a term in there they use. They use exogenous, okay, which basically means exo means like external. So they're only legally allowing stablecoins to be a stablecoin if you are exogenously backed, which means you have $1 in a US authorized bank account outside of crypto. So that's USDC, C for cuck. You have Tether, also a cuck coin as well. All of them have dollars backed in US bank accounts. It's exogenous, okay? What makes MakerDAO the red alert, high alert, super cypherpunk tech is that it's endogenous. It's crypto backed to make $1. That's why it's actually called Maker. You know what I mean? Like to make, right? Literally, this is the money printing. This makes the dollar, right? That's now, if you see it from this, it's endogenous. This is actually like, they haven't made the laws yet, but I'm pretty sure they're going to make it illegal. That's what I think is going to happen. So yeah, Mr. Pdong as well, it probably mentioned the reason why it hasn't pegged probably political. It could be it could be have a reason along the lines of waiting for more of these policies to basically be written or maybe confirm themselves. As well, you want to distance itself. Hey, why don't you peg it? Because maybe they want to distance themselves. Hey, it's literally technically illegal. You're not actually allowed to have this, but they can't actually stop it. It's literally censorship resistant. Okay, that is the magic with all of this. But then obviously people go, hey, aren't you guys sticking your necks out? bro, we're buying unbacked stable coins. It looks like a Ponzi. I don't know what's going on. You know, we like have like this plausible deniability. We don't know what the hell's going on. And it's
May
true.
may I ask a question, Sommi?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I have two questions. One is, I know we're unrelated, but I am pro Pdai, but one is about E-Hex and one is about the Maddie's Dai. So about Maddie's Dai, do you believe that's a grift, or do you think that's just he's genuinely trying to just make his own stable coin? Because Richard Hart, I mean, he didn't come out and say that he wanted the community to make a stable coin.
You're right. With Maddie's Pdai, here's the thing, guys. I know this is going to be hard for you to kind of like, if you're new, it's hard for you to like see this, but we all know it. Like, so Maddie is a Richard Hart Bible scholar loyalist. For example, I'll just give you one example. This will give you an insight. Okay. You know, April Fools, watch Maddie's stream on April Fools. He says, you know, guys, because Richard doesn't believe in April Fools, we don't believe in April Fools here. It's just another day. I'm just showing you how deep it goes. So I'm just like, it's that much of a loyalist where he's like, oh, Richard doesn't like April Fools. I don't like April Fools. So like, obviously Richard's a cool guy, does a lot, but I'm like, bro, I'm allowed to like April Fools. You know what I mean? Like that, just to give you an idea of how deep it goes, how deep in the cult it goes. But you need people like that to defend the temple. Okay. So it's like, right. It's a double-edged sword, right? But also, is it a grift or not? Well, the thing is, if you're a loyalist, Richard's tweet literally said, hey, Mr. Market, if you want to decide, airdrop everybody and see which one they pick without the exploiter, right? He didn't actually do that. He put a sacrifice to try to do stuff. But also, Maddie also is so much of a loyalist. He's been messaging, and a lot of people are saying, like, he keeps almost calling out for me saying, hey, the exploiter is rugging the chain. We need to do something. So I don't know. He's caught between a banana and a hard place.
I think it started as
like
a good
50-50.
thing, but then it became like the whole thing where he kicked Kareem off the stream and like didn't answer questions, and he didn't airdrop anything to us holders, who was the people he wanted to sack or to at least try to leave Pdai. And then it just became a very scummy, weird thing.
Yeah, it became it seemed super weird when like I was following him for a long time, and then that just kind of rubbed me the wrong way, where I just it didn't sit right with me. It definitely seemed like a grift.
Wasn't he meant to save Pdai?
I could see.
I thought he was meant to save.
I could also see how he. I could also see how he might want.
Can we just add some context for everyone? Just add some context for everyone. Remember, Maddie bought Hex early, watching Richard's streams. Richard is Warlord Richard. Richard is Old Testament. Follow my instructions. And guess what? Hex then does a 10,000x. Basically makes everybody rich. Maddie even did sudden wealth syndrome videos. So that helped add some context how we got there. So everyone knows it's not just some random dude who's like, oh, I like this dude. He followed this dude. He liked this dude. They survived the FUD together. Richard pumps the bags 10,000x. And I want to add that context for everyone out here, just so it's fair, so everyone can see where it's coming from. That's all.
My other question is about E-Hex, and it's I know everybody, people are saying that, P-Hex is the new Hex, but it just seems it's also one of those weird things where it's a contrarian play, just like Pdai. And if Pdai goes to $1, who's to say that E-Hex won't either outperform P-Hex or, do just as well? I don't know. It just seems like one of those things where everybody is saying E-Hex is dead. And it's doing terrible, but I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Do you guys think E-Hex will survive, or?
Yeah, so E-Hex to P-Hex ratio is right now 0.25. So people quote it like 4-1, but 0.25. It traded, so when Richard killed it, it went down to 0.1. So it's funny. Great question, sir. If you bought E-Hex on the day, March 13th, 2024, when Richard said, we've migrated over, E-Hex is dead. He literally effectively tweeted that. He goes, P-Hex is the real Hex. You've outperformed P-Hex. You're up from 0.10 to like 0.25. Is it going to go back to parity? It's one of my long-lasting, the credits rolling end of movie trailer that appears at the end. One of my like dreams that's the final one that hits the parity out here. I do believe it can happen. The thing though with it, I don't know what Richard's thinking is in terms of like, do we leave P-Hex as a premium so that people are always going to bridge over and think about it, or do they even care? It is cool to think about. Another thing interesting as well, friends, I noticed this is very strange, but it's cool. E-Hex supporters are mostly always Pdai believers as well, somewhere, which I found fascinating because they share similar traits. They were bastardized by Richard. They're deeply contrarian. They had enormous sell-offs. People say that the thing is broken. There had to be a big shakeout. For example, BankX had 880 million supply. Now they've only got like 190 million. Thank you to Mr. Daddy Wick out here. So, and what I noticed is Mr. Hodlonomics and other people, I remember a year ago, you guys coming out saying, you know what, I'm going to hold it anyway. I don't think it's right to effective. And I never connected the two until months later. I'm like, interesting. All the people who were willing to hold the line were Pdai people. Now, what does that really mean? I just think it means, remember how we spoke about Matty Allen and Richard Hart 1.0? Look, this is what I think is happening, friends. Maybe Richard's listening right now. I think I could sniff it, friends. I'm sniffing my microphone. I think Richard is building a new type of believer. I think Richard 1.0 believers, I don't know what to give him. Like, you were good to start, but maybe he's not liking how it's turning out. Maybe he doesn't like how when he disappears, you disappear. When he says leave, you actually leave. Maybe he doesn't like that. I feel like Richard 2.0, the new cycle, multi-coins, pump tires, options, lots of ice cream in the ice cream score. I feel like Richard is thinking, hey, man, one day I'll be dead. If I'm dead, I want people who are going to be here no matter what, because that means you've lasted the test of time. Because Richard, you got to remember, friends, Richard is this guy. Richard bought after Satoshi left. When Richard found out Satoshi was gone, he didn't sell Bitcoin, he held. So it's almost like he's breathing in that spirit into the chain of Pulsechain now. That's how I feel.
I know
That's what I feel is happening. So
I know you were saying you think E-Hex might pump last, but my thought process is if E-Hex pumped first, it would, all the Richard Hart non-believers, I think, would go, oh, this is the coin that he doesn't even like, and this one pumped like crazy. What's going to happen to the rest of his community? What the rest of his coins that he just made? You know, I think it would create a lot of speculation for all these other people that aren't in Richard Hart coins. You know?
Yeah, so you know the E-Hex P-Hex ratio, he now said is 0.25. When Richard started fighting it, it was 0.5. So if E-Hex P-Hex gets back to 0.5, which is about just another 2x from here, I will be making like generational alert videos. I'll go, the coin Richard said was dead has recovered the price action all the way to the same point, which means something is happening. So you're right. So if that pumps up and it does that, it will that. By the way, it already recovered its price on the pulse ratio, E-Hex versus pulse. I already made this video like 9 months ago. The thing is, no one gave a shit. So that's why I'm telling everyone in Pdai, like what happens is, because I know if you're new to this, you probably have a list of people where you're like, I'll show him. I'm going to prove him wrong. What's going to happen is when the price recovers, you're not even going to be able to contact them. You'll forget about them. And you're not going to get your glory. It doesn't happen. They fade away. They're just temporary, friends. I noticed this. Like you want this like trophy cabinet. It doesn't happen, man. It doesn't. People forget. I copped it hard, man. I lost followers. People saying I've lost the mind. People telling me to take a holiday. I'm like, bro, the thing is cheap. What do you mean take a holiday? You're meant to be buying now. And then it recovered against pulse ratio. Nobody gave a shit. Literally right now, no one gives a shit. So it's kind of that thing about markets, right? There's no real glory ever. It's a constant cycle in a stream. But you're right, sir. If E-Hex P-Hex ratio makes its way towards 1.0, it makes you wonder, is Pdai going to 1.0 with Pdai, which is $1? Are other things going to peg? Is PWBTC going to peg with Pdai, right? I also wonder what's Richard's next marketing campaign, because it's one thing for these things to do this. It's another thing to get people to care. What a big advantage we have now is, man, the Pdai thing is speaking volumes. You know, we just need the Pdai thing to go up. They're like, whoa, something else is happening, right? So yeah, I think we can all enjoy that, and that's the pace it's moving on forward is actually pretty good so far.
Do you guys, either Sommi or anybody else who wants to talk, do you guys have family members or friends who look at you like you're crazy when you talk about crypto, or like you're schizo? I mean, I genuinely
all my family members,
yeah, my entire
they don't think Pdai is they don't think Pdai is crazy, but they think everything else is. That's the weirdest part. So I'll let you guys speak. No one thinks Pdai is weird. They think Pulsechain and Bitcoin and everything else is weird, which that's the craziest part. New people think, oh yeah, totally, this thing can go to $1. Bitcoin's 100,000. So please continue. Someone else, please.
I generally try to keep quiet with friends and family, just because it's like one of those things where I know they're not going to understand what I'm talking about.
Just focusing on Pdai. as a narrative. I found it interesting in an earlier chat I brought you up, Sommi, because in the early days, right at the start of the chain, when we were looking at Pdai and I was looking at the price, and I kind of understood that Pdai was a fork of Edai. I didn't know as much as I do now about Edai. But what put me off was the actual price. Like, I was looking at it and it was like, I think at the time Bitcoin was around $11, something like that. But Pdai was trading at, I don't know how many zeros. It was, you looked at it, it was hard just to put in like $10 into it because there was no way it could get to $1. That's what I had. That's the limitation I had in my mind. And yet, 2 years have gone by and we've seen how the narrative behind Pdai, how it's captured everyone's mindshare. And it's even to the point where you no longer fudded it. You came back and you were like, hang on, you did your due diligence on me. And then you realized that there was something behind this and you got in. Because I've been watching your YouTube channel for, since the beginning of Pulsechain, really. And I found it interesting that there's another player like B Roots who somehow knew about Pdai really early on, advocating it along with Teddy. So what's been fun for me is I see myself in you as someone who was like, okay, well, I was influenced by you, sorry. And I kind of understood, but I saw the price and then I saw it go back down. And then I just completely forgot about it. I didn't even look at the charts. I just buried myself in cores and, looked at other projects. And then only, I would say back in August of last year, it came back up on my radar. Somehow I got more involved on X, on Twitter. And I stumbled across Decentralized Me's Twitter, and I started following him and seeing all the videos. And as soon as I saw those explanations, how he broke it down, coupled with 9iron's tweets as well, who I also followed, I immediately got in. It was like right at the end of August, around the price that we were at, last week. And then this is the last point, Sonny. Sorry.
Yeah, go on.
What I've noticed, and you were talking about Mindshare, and it's exactly that. And what you've been saying quite simply and communicating to on people with attention spans that differ, people that have more time to focus on crypto versus the ones that are working and then stumbling across these spaces that get recorded. What you communicate very clearly is one thing. It's like the believer cycle. You've broken it down. You're reaching out to as many people as you can communicate this with. And on the other side, you're dealing with all the FUD that's happening. So we've got like B Roots, who was an ardent believer right from the beginning, probably made his 6,000x or whatever it is, who's now strongly fudding this coin.
He actually believes Richard is making a stable coin. It's quite funny, actually.
That's exactly it. But he can't tell you which one. But so this is the thing. It's like what I find strange about the narratives is why. And I look at myself and I'm thinking like, why is it that I also firmly believe in Pdai? Once I've done my research, is it because I want it to succeed because of what it stands for? Is it really symbolic of it's got all the ideas that RH professors. It's like a symbol of what we initially sacrificed for when we got into Pulsechain, when we were waiting for this chain for like a year and a half or whatever it was for it to come to fruition. 2 years. I got in during the PulseX sacrifice, so I was late to the party. I didn't get in on the Pulse sac. So that's going back to 21, right? December 2020 and January 21, I believe. So I've been waiting this long, and yet I still didn't fully understand what I was sacking for. I was sacking for freedom of movement and assembly and freedom of speech. It's a freedom coin, freedom chain. But I didn't realize that it was like, for me personally, central to that core is the first logo that came up on the chain. It's evident. It's the Pdai. You know, we've talked around the subject, but it really is that sense of stability, that sense of like what is it?
It's a greater calling, really. You know, so
Yeah.
that sacrifice, just imagine it does turn out when we're sacrificing for freedom of speech and freedom of movement, imagine we're actually sacrificing for the Pdai collateral, because now it's your own ability to mint a $1 thing as well. And you know what, Sir Marky,
Yeah.
see how you never sacrificed? So if you're wondering why you can see it, why other people can't, the thing is, remember, I noticed most of my unfollowers, okay, because I check out on Twitter, I'm like, oh, that dude's not following me anymore. That dude's not following me anymore. There was a very high rate of them saying, I retired from Richard Hart, pretty much Hex. I owe everything to that man. So when they usually did that, they're basically, it's blasphemy to even imply something else is happening, because they're like, no, he's the Godfather. He would tell me to buy it because he says, you know, he points at a coin and he tells me to get in. If he hasn't said something, then it's not going to be true, right? It really is blasphemy as well. So a lot of those people as well from that first cycle, totally different mindset out here. That's why I try to explore, like, okay, instead of thinking about if it's happening or not, I think about why would Richard want to do this? And that's why I look at things like, you know what, man, if I had a chain and I had a coin and people all left when I leave, you've achieved nothing. You've literally achieved nothing. And you know what, sir? I want to tell you as well. Here's the thing. You know, when you first saw me in Pdai, I'm like, look, I understand the target's very high. There's a community I'm in. I didn't understand the pegging or anything out here. Things are broken, then they get fixed. Totally new to me. Never seen anything like it. The thing was, though, what really surprised me was when I was getting backlash from the Pdai community, and I'm long anyway. And this is my light bulb moment, because I'm like, wait a minute. If you were around in cycle 1, 2019, 2020, 2021, Matty Allen, Dr. Hexologist, maybe not Dr. Hexo, but Matty Allen, you know, all the Hex guys, right? Mm-hmm. Some of them were like strong, strict temple believers, Richard Hart maxis, right? Pretty much, if you were long Hex, but you were having this mindset of you're not going to stake and you don't really want to be here for 10 to 15 years and you're just like punting on like Richard shilling it, that pissed them off, because they were staked and they're like, no, you're not listening on how to change your life, delay gratification, stop playing video games, doing all this, doing that. And they got really upset at that. And then like, if you go back, you're like, wait, bro, they're long with you. Why do you care about whether they have the philosophy with you or not? That's when I knew this.
That's true, Sommi. But I also think that some of them had shorter stakes. So they knew that they could just, like, as the price is going up, okay, well, you know, if enough people go in with the long stakes, they can then do what, you know, someone like, what's his name? Rani Boo, right? Who wanted initially 100x ratio for the big whales to come in, so he could just pick up all the yield. And I think at that point, RH was like, no, we're going to keep, you know, the big sackers over 1 million or whatever it was to 2.5 ratio, right?
That's right.
So,
you know,
so I think there's definitely similarities. The way I looked at Pdai now, also just, you know, as another mechanic of this narrative, I see it very similar to the original Hex. The way it's structured, it's like, you know, you just hold long term and, you know, you're going to get to the promised land. You're going to get to that glory. I mean, very, very few of us who are holding it were able to, you know, decided. I didn't sell back in when I kicked myself for it on November 29th, you know, around that time last year, because at that point it reached, you had 3 goes at getting out at around the 3.2, 3.3 mark. There were like 3 little waves, right, within the space of 8 days or something like that, 10 days, 8 days, where you could have got out. And, you know, at that point, I just thought, wow, this thing's going to keep going. And I held through that. And, you know, round trip to where we are today. But what makes me even question my own sanity is that I then, at this low, I rotated out of all my other coins except for you know, some of the atropa stuff like the T-bill and Fed, which I actually bought a little bit more of. But I put the rest of it into Pdai. And that's how convinced I am. It's like, in it for the glory, sure, but it's like I mean, this is, to me, Pdai is what Pulsechain stands for. Ultimately, it's like, it's a place where there's going to be stability, and it's going to attract once policies change, because as we know, like, everyone fudded Bitcoin back then, right, at the early days. I mean, BlackRock were fudding it all the way through the other cycle, saying stay clear of it. And we know what they were doing behind closed doors. Deals get made, as you said. Solutions come up, problems are there, barriers are crossed. Where money is to be made, then it's like it talks volumes, and policies do get changed.
Yeah,
And I think that's what's
BlackRock.
going to happen with this again. Yeah.
BlackRock in 2022, sir, were literally confirmed buying Bitcoin after Janet Yellen was fudding it to zero. They were literally buying it on these linked accounts. And this is always interesting, right? People always ask, how do these people predict the future? And then my answer is always, bro, they make the future. That's why they're getting in early. So maybe the guy fudding Pdai right now, maybe there are price action confirmations of these bids who have involvement with the future. That's what I'm just saying. Maybe you assign a probability to that. So, Marky, were you here when we went through all the odds? I did a couple of spaces and I just went around. I'm like, what do you guys think Richard's involved? What's your odds? I'll start 90% for me. And then the highest stuff that was someone at 25%, everyone was below 1%. And I'm like, whoa, this is why the price is cheap. Okay, you literally, a lot of them were like 0.1%. I'm like,
it's
bro.
Nuts. It's nuts.
I'm like, after all my stories, after everything. Yep. They think think it's random. He hit 555,555x from a dollar from the bottom. Like, so
it's a brilliant game, though. If you look at it, just, I know the stakes are high, right? For a lot of us, we've got our lives and we've got bills, and everyone else, we all need money, sure. But it's more than just the game, right? On the surface, it's like, it actually matters. This actually matters, really does. But if we want to have a change on how the world works, and how
blessed we are, sir. This is we're all in crypto. Everyone wants to make money, but it's not just your ordinary meme coin. Meme coin is cool, but it's like, whoa, there's actually a giant big cause behind this, right? We need a decentralized stablecoin without a blacklist function. We don't have one right now. We have one, $7 liquidity. We have one with a bigger play, and we want one to achieve the strategic goal of sucking liquidity into the chain, right? All these buttons pressing in the background. We actually really do need one. It's very interesting when Mr. Pdong said Pdai is political. That seems like a nice word. We just say the word political, but it summarizes like essays and essays of explanation as to why this thing hasn't happened. But you got to remember, I got fudded out of buying the Hex low. One of my famous stories. I found about Hex. I saw this Richard Hart. I thought it was a scammer. Had no idea. I went onto Reddit. I was not on Twitter. I didn't know how to use Twitter. I went onto Reddit and I asked people, Hex, it was literally at the low. I think it was worth 1 Satoshi. And I said, can a coin go below 1 Satoshi? And then people said, it can't, but definitely, totally avoid this coin. It's a total scam. It was literally the 10,000x point on the day, literally the day. And I promised myself, don't go to Soy Boys for advice, bro. At the bottom, I learned a very, very long lesson, right? And, during that time, Johnny Chaos was buying. All the Pdai fudders, the Hex guys, they were buying during that time. And I'm like, bro, it's the same thing. Yeah. You are Reddit now. You are Reddit. You are filtering the word out. You're filtering Pdai out off Twitter, off Reddit. You're the one filtering the word out. Are you not seeing? And they're like, nah, definitely don't see it. We're going to win. I'm like, bro, we're on the same team. What do you mean we?
Yeah. What is that? So, that's the strange thing. It's very interesting to see that. I mean, we theorized that B Roots was a plant right at the beginning. Like, you've got, like, you talk about the marketing teams, right? Or the influencers. And the way that the communities views you, Sommi, is that you're organic, true, and you came through. You became a spokesperson. you know, it's like that's what makes you so special, is because you do speak your mind. You discover stuff. You link us to other people who know a bit more in the technical side, or you know, you talk about things, you question things, you join the dots, the bigger pictures. You know, what would we've got Mr. Dong in here, who gave his opinion because he's, you know, he sees that in finance world they know about Pdai. Do they know about PTGC? Maybe. Do they know about, you know, some other of the meme coins that we have on here? Possibly. But do they fear it? No. And like, what's so special about Pdai that gives it this you know, this
It's a first cycle unicorn, sir. It's got an aura. This has literally never been seen before. Never,
right? Because usually it's the other way around. You've got your money, and
you
then
don't mind me jumping in here, but I was just about to say that it's inspiration. It's caused some people that I haven't seen out of this community just to come out of nowhere.
But it's grassroots.
And
It follows everything that RH stands for, right? And who we are as well, and what we're drawn to RH for voicing
it's
this.
inspired me
Yeah,
to
it's grassroots.
It's inspired me to get back into coding, to be honest with you. And because I started doing that, I started noticing there's 2 tweets or X posts from Richard that kind of threw me off. The first one was when he posted the message from the transaction hash.
Oh yeah, that was a weird flag.
That one messed me up because of the fact that, I mean, getting back into coding, I had to remind myself of a few things. And it's either you're scanning for the transaction hash and seeing that message, or somebody just, you know, I'm sending a message to you. I put out a video and posted it on X on how to do that, how to send messages through transaction, just so we can all speak to each other. But you would have to know the transaction hash for that message, you know, for you to be able to see it. And it threw me off because, you know, either he's scanning for it or he knew
Just to give context, we were streaming when that came out, so we thought, or we were on a live like this, a Twitter space, and we thought it was directed towards us because we were saying he's a scammer exploiter and looking in the wrong direction, and then he was like, "Yo, look at what I'm doing here. Everyone can do this." I mean, not everyone, but like you could technically go redo what he was doing, and it's more of an arb opportunity. And that's when that message came out, and then that's why I bought back in, was because I was like, "Wait, there's no fucking way this guy in Vietnam is just like, yo, here's how I'm scamming you guys." You know where I live, you know how old I am, and you know, I'm just gonna show you how I'm doing it so other people can arb it and hopefully get joy to 0. Like that made no sense to me.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah, you're right on it, man. And to be honest with you, the second post that threw me off was just this most recent one about wallets.
Right.
The chain is on fire, right? You know, just hey,
Yeah.
look over here. It's almost like an illusion,
You guys want a
right?
wallet?
Hey, look at this here. Well, I do something over
Let's
here.
hear from
Right, so it's
BB.
like, hey, wallet, right, guys, wallets. Am I right? You know, so it just threw me off, man. And Sommi, you came out with a video the other day where you were talking about Richard Hart not streaming and it being a Warriors community now. And like I said, it's inspiring because it's causing people to come out of nowhere and almost take over.
Like Cash
in a
Money,
sense
bro.
where he can
Cash
walk
Money
away
came
with-
out of fucking nowhere.
Yeah,
And he's
bro,
a
like
GTA
Cash Money,
character, bro.
just coming out of nowhere.
Well, he might come on in a bit later, so
Oh, mate.
I've sent him.
Awesome.
But
So let's move on to Mr. Big Banana as well.
yeah,
on
Big
Cash Money.
Banana.
Before Big Banana speaks, friends, Mr. Cash Money. What was this? This was the most disgusting thing I saw from the crowd. This guy can't afford to pay his electricity. It's going off. The guy is long and feeding alpha. And instead of listening to the alpha, people are like, well, you know what? Looks like this guy can't pay the bills. Like, I just couldn't believe it. I'm like, bro, the guy is literally giving you the most pure, juicy alpha. It's getting your probability of death, right, from the 0% win rate. It's moving it up to like a 50% success rate. The price is literally like 500x away to $1, and all you can think about is judging the person delivering it. I'm like, you know what? You're just destined to be losers. You are me listening to the Reddit soy boys telling me, don't worry, coins can go way below 1 Satoshi. Don't touch this hex scam. It's literally January 2020 when it happened, sir. So yeah, Mr. Big Banana, would love to hear from you. Welcome aboard.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. Yeah, I was just thinking about the whole psychology of this whole thing, and I work in the film industry, and one of the one of the things when you look at a good story is that there's a saying that true character gets exposed in crisis. And I just found it very interesting that when the Maria FUD started and all the other FUD started, it really brought forward everyone's true character. You look at like Sommi, for instance. I know you capitulated for about half an hour, Sommi, but then you went in harder, and then that shows your contrarian spirit. Whereas someone like Moon King, now I'm subscribed to Moon King, I do find value in what he says, but he's a populist and an opportunist. And so you can see the way he went, he's got obviously like a monetary incentive to keep his business. So he just, when he saw the danger of, it's an exploit, it's connected to an exploit, it's connected to a scam, this and that, he went with the crowd. And, for me personally,
I'd go one step further. Sorry to interrupt you, but I go one step further is that you only see that because you are that.
Say that again?
You only see that because you are that. That's what he saw because that's his reality.
Exactly. I mean, your reality is your mind. The universe is mental. So whatever your thinking state is, your actions are going to reflect that, right? And for me personally, I knew about Bitcoin in about 2012, but I was focused on my film career, and I knew about Ethereum in 2016, 2017, but I was focused on my film career. I faded it, and then I heard about Hex in 2019, but I faded it because I was focused on my film career. Now it's fucked. And I came across Pdai, and I didn't want to fade it. I saw 3 times where I faded it, and I said, no, I'm going to believe in this thing. I've been holding this thing since December of 2023. And the funny thing was when the Maria FUD happened, it was about 3 o'clock in the morning here in Sydney, and I just happened to wake up in the middle of the night. I checked the chart, and I saw all this Maria FUD happen. I just felt my heart sink, so I went to the toilet to take a shit. I came back and I bought more.
It's a good point, though. I appreciate what you're saying, though.
Guys, the blockchain stuff, I get it. Blockchain is truth. But here's the thing, bro. I've seen the most complicated essays from people, and they've just, like, you get one transaction wrong, the whole story blows up. And I've seen that. So what I've seen is literally, I have people coming up to me. They'll send me Alex Hedron's essay, Kathy's essay, another round of FUD, a clip from someone who says I'm stupid and retarded, it's gonna know, and I'll just go all of that, and I'll just say, don't care, just bought more, see you in 30 days, we'll evaluate then. And their brains literally explode. Like, they can't believe I've dissected and digested all of this, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just buying more. They can't believe that. Because, bro, that's Peter Schiff. Do you remember that Nouriel Roubini? Like, Ivan on Tech, they still talk about them when they come out. They go, oh, this guy. You know what I mean? They're like part of the furniture. They're like, oh, look at this loser. Never got long. That's what happens over time, bro. You ossify with this. And like, but you don't look at it like, oh, I know all the answers. You got to think back. You go back to when there was unknown stuff. And you're like, bro, this guy sounded really smart. Bitcoin's down 85%. It looks like it's over. Janet Yellen, the pudgy penguin lady, is saying it's going to zero. The only person who made it through, they go, don't care, not selling, go to zero if you want, and that's literally it. But it's tough. It is tough because we're dealing with a new coin, new story. We don't have no idea, man. There's a lot of things that don't work, friends. Like thousands of things in crypto that don't work. We're always like, man, is this going to be
Remember the stream with KDP and all of them? And they're like, you know what? They'll just die out soon. Pull your liquidity. This exploiter is going to drain them all. They're all going to be broke, and then it's going to go away.
I didn't know that. Did they have a stream like that, sir, where they had this obituary?
She's broke anyway.
It was weeks ago. This was pretty early on, like right after the real FUD. And it's just funny to think, oh, we're going to fix the exploit pretty soon. And Joy Auctions has started, and we're burning Pdai. It's no longer inflating. So
there you go. We also saw, guys, like when I sold, I told the story. I clicked sell. I've never seen anything like this. I didn't expect 15,000 rounds of FUD. I clicked sell, and I'm like, this don't feel good. I don't feel like I avoided death. I feel like I'm cheating. And then literally someone in my Telegram was, Sommi bottom signal, Sommi bottom signal. And I said, over my dead body. It's something it told me, it's something the universe told me. It doesn't feel right, bro. I lost money on buying the dip on Luna with everyone else. It didn't feel good, bro.
Dude.
When people who sold, it something about it didn't feel right. And look, by the way, you've had 28 days to think about it, 30 days. You still have time. So yeah, Mr. Royston, so you're going to say something before I interrupted?
No, just funny story. I was in my car outside of Home Depot. I was about to go to a job, and I was making a video super bullish on Pdai. I was like, Richard fudded it.
You know what actually makes someone the concrete pillar? Men and women who like stand their ground. Pretty much the people where, you know, friends, you ever see like, like if you live in a tornado area, from around the world, I don't live in a tornado area. When I see them, there's always like that old grandpa, over my dead body, am I moving out of this hellhole? They like refuse to leave. They'll like go down in the bunker. They're like, I'm like, whoa, man, they're literally never leaving that land. That's Bitcoin maxis. That's Ethereum maxis. That might be Pulsechain maxis as well. If you're going to hold the line, man, in a bear market, and it has a stable coin as well. By the way, Mr. Slayman, Abu Salim, so you've had a hand up for a while. You want to speak or ask a question as well to continue?
What's
First
up,
off,
Slay?
I want to say, hey man, what's up? I wanted to say, Sommi, love your videos, but you're wrong about one thing. If this does hit $1, I'm definitely gonna go and hit Habibi, Panos, and everybody and slam them for everything they said to me when I said I don't care what I hear, I'm not leaving, and they just called me an idiot. So yeah, I'll hit them back with receipts.
It's okay.
And
They
then
still have their moon bags, by the way.
It's all
oh
right.
yeah, of course, yeah.
Just in case,
Habibi's a
bags.
virgin anyway.
Just in
Fine.
case, bags.
Yeah. Anyway, second thing, you guys keep forgetting. Like this is what got me in, and you specifically, Sommi, warned me after I said I'm getting in. You said be careful. And I said I'm not putting everything in. I'm just putting a nice big chunk because I started seeing everything and putting pieces together. It first started when Richard made Pulse and Pulsex and everything basically impossible to control. He couldn't shut it down. He you know, the IPFS ability where you run it from your own PC. It happened right after the lawsuit started happening with the SEC, and I kept wondering, you know, wow, that means if he ever got a ruling against him, you really couldn't shut down Pulsex.
That's a really good point. He prepared, he tested us, and then he educated us.
Right. And I'm wondering, was that always the plan? Because, you know, then a couple days ago, he sends 4,100 ETH to Tornado Cash, and $100 increments get sent out to different wallets that you can't see. And it's all, and then the joy hit zero today, and the day before that, all the Tornado Cash went out. It's just something. Also, what got me in was the PUSDC. I was watching that anyway before I got into Pdai, before the Pdai narrative started taking about 2 years ago. And I noticed that the price jumped and it tied to Pdai, and I was like, what's going on? And that's what it was. All these little things that are just happening, little pieces being put together. And that's why I got into it, because I started seeing somebody building something. And when we start talking about a decentralized stable coin, how do you shut it down if you can't shut the chain down? If everybody's PC, even if they do make it illegal, it doesn't matter. You can't kill it. Everybody can run it on their own. It's government proof. That's what it is. You can make it illegal all you want, but you can't shut it down. And
yeah, the longer I follow Richard Hart, the more I know I feel like he's playing 9-dimensional chess. Like it feels like he's playing 9D chess.
Yeah, exactly. And if you start seeing all these pieces being placed in the puzzle, you start seeing where the picture is and what it is. And that's why I got in. I started seeing that it was government proof. You
Right.
can't
I mean,
make
it's
it illegal.
Satoshi's true vision. Like he's just the only one actually trying to make it happen with his resources, and he's a billionaire, and he's pretty high IQ.
Yeah,
and he's got this crazy
even
community.
Right, and even if BlackRock got in, they get mad because they can't they can't mess with the market. It's because it's not controllable. It would be true like a US dollar. It's a true US digital dollar.
Even if all the owners
Mr.
died.
Slayman,
Yeah.
Very interesting, right? Mr. Slayman, what you were doing in real time, this is beautiful, right? You were computing, so what your brain was doing, okay, you're looking at Pdai, the price, and you're looking at like these stories, USDC depegging, random timings of moving around, Tornado Cash, random stuff, and your brain is literally saying, hang on, man, for something that's meant to be dead, I think the probability of it being alive is much higher than the price right now. You're effectively computing that in real time. That's why you effectively get long. And that's why, like, a lot of the people who aren't long, they're like, it's dead, it's dead, it's dead. I'm like, bro, we've got like 18 things that have happened now which show it's not dead. So maybe it's not 0%. Maybe the probability is different. Hey, he updated his worldview, dude. It was broken. Now it's starting to get fixed. Why can't you get it? And I'm just like, bro, are you okay? We're not talking to someone that you're used to, friends. It's literally like, like the way I explain it, it's Donald Trump's planned assassination. There are people out there, they literally think random kid went to Toys R Us, bought a gun, stumbled into some random field, takes a shot at the president, totally random. Okay. The rest of us who can like watch TV, we're like, wait, we noticed over the past 24 months, there was an escalation of like trying to remove him legally. Another girl comes out. Oh, he raped me. He told me he was buying, was actually getting short. You know, all these things come out slowly. They're trying to do the legal stuff. The judge saying he's guilty, and then it finally ends with, okay, we just got to put a bullet through his head. You know, I look at that, I'm like, I don't think that's random, bro. I think that's like a perfect escalation. It's actually everything in Pdai, by the way. Did you guys know, right? This is funny. Do you know what happened in the past 4 months? The origin address moved E-Hex and staked it, right? The origin address then moved P-Hex and staked it. The ink yield got reduced to 0. Yeah. Then Maria's FUD starts. Then Richard Hart's FUD starts. Then there's money moved to Tornado Cash. Then the auctions start. I'm looking at this. I'm like, bro, I don't think it's all random. I think it's part of the same Continuum stream. If you're long, you think it's not random as well. Pretty much. You're betting that is 9D chess orchestration. I can't wait. If we get back to a cent, what the story is going to be again. It's going to be fighting then. Oh, it's only 100x to $1. You've missed it. It's going to be funny. I'm waiting for that moment.
Hey, Sommi,
Sommi, for me, it was the same. It would
happen with the UFO news. Whenever there's like New Jersey drones, the market's like pretty much at the tops. Every time there's like heaps of UFO news, the market's usually up. It's quite strange.
Yeah, actually, you're right. So you're right. So someone else was speaking as well. Was it? Forgot who?
Yeah, Sommi. For me, it was the same as you, where I was watching Richard Hart videos for hours and hours and hours every night, and I'm like, is this guy a scammer? Is this guy a scammer? Like, he knows his shit. He doesn't skip a beat. And I'm watching videos for days and days and days. And I'm like, this guy cannot be a scammer. He's not skipping a beat, not one little bit. And I realized how genius he was. Just he knows his shit. Like he doesn't stutter, not at all. It's crazy.
You know, as well, friends, Richard Hart, not a narcissist. You know how you know? The guy, he has been orchestrating stuff for a long time, has not told a soul. He has not come out and says, look at me, look at my achievements. Not one bit. Okay, he's kept this a secret. That means like that's a driven guy. That's very driven when you're looking at from that perspective. To keep a secret like this on this level out here. I don't know if you guys remember, there was one of the Twitter spaces I did. Okay, we did it. This Asian dude came out here. Okay, it was right when Richard, I think, was making the FUD, go make another coin. When he made that FUD and Matty Allen's thing. So this Asian dude comes on here and all of us are bullish. This one guy sneaks in. He might be listening right now. And he says, hey, you guys, good community, make another coin and go continue there. Listen to the big boss. It was basically telling us, listen to the big boss. And everyone was going, boo, don't let this FUD run here. It was kind of funny. And I said, no, bro, I'm not leaving anywhere. I don't understand how any of this works. I'm not moving. And it's kind of funny. Now we see why, friends. If you move to another contract, you don't have the Pdai that ends in 1D0F, okay? Your Pdai is not useful for anything. The Pdai right now, the OG forked Pdai, the real Pdai, the only one, that is used to buy PMaker, okay? So Matty Allen's Pdai, Richard Hart's JPEG Pdai, any other Pdai, you can't be used for anything. The Pulsechain pioneers are not building a city pointing to your contract. So therefore, I'm not interested because blockchain speech, right? That's why no one else is interested. So I think it's very interesting now because it's now been about a month since the FUD, I think like 15 to 20 days. And I remember that moment, just hearing you guys speak about it. It's very interesting. I'm looking at the price. I remember where we were down there and these guys are saying, because that's what it was like, friends. Everyone's like, you're killing the chain. You're killing the chain. And we're like, bro, do you really think a Vietnamese kid minted Pdai and has been doing the world's longest 9D chess narrative by himself? And they're like, yes, he has. Okay, bro, you can't reason with someone like that. Okay, you really believe that. So we're still long and strong. I wonder if the Vietnamese kid is going to evolve. Is it going to be a Russian kid next? I'd love to see, friends, personally, how that's going to move on to the next story. Don't understand how hard it is to do that, right? I don't go back and I'm like, oh, cool, I said something and it turned out. But I'm like, yeah, could have not worked out. Maybe. Like every step of the way, I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Like could be green, could be red. I hope it works out. Here's a new cycle fractal cope to do this. So you got to have an appreciation for this. Like, I've never seen another human be able to do this, friends. Like, Richard never comes back and says, hey, I was just guessing shit. Let me guess stuff. He's deliberate when he speaks, bro. Guys, you understand how hard it is to talk for 3 hours, multiple times a month on camera? And then you have all these like people spamming you and answering questions. And for him to speak with something that is like so logically consistent, he can be quoted years later. It's literally nearly impossible. I know he says his IQ is 140. It feels like it's more like 340 for blockchain and stuff out here. It's literally, I know everyone makes a joke like 9-dimensional chess, bro.
Sommi is Bob Lazar. The same story for decades. And that's
there you go. Perfect example, bro. Bob Lazar, like 30 years, never skipped a beat. The same story, man. 100% consistent.
When the exploit happened, apparently he took it off, or somebody took it off, and then just recently, yesterday or today, actually I think it was after Joy Auctions, it was put back on.
Bro,
If you
he
refresh your
literally
cache,
did my FUD. He literally did my FUD. Everything.
that's a nice little nod, if you ask me.
That's so funny,
bro.
Oh, man.
My gosh, I gotta find a way to buy more. He literally did my FUD.
Sommi, you
But
gotta
here's the
stop
thing, friends.
giving him good advice. Like, please.
I know,
Don't
yeah, guys.
tell him
what
anything
I've
else.
do you know how it started, guys? Do you know how all the FUD started? When we started doing the Twitter spaces or whatever, okay, people would ask me, Sommi, what would make you finally give up? And every time we went through that path, that's the next FUD that would come out. Like, well, if he says to sell, you know? So, yeah, it was funny. So it's kind of funny to see that literally the next part out here. But by the way, you're unshakable now. The only way to kill it is the origin address suicide. It's kind of like, hey, what would shake you out of hex? Oh, if the origin address sold 85% of the supply at market and left the big sell war on P-Hex and E-Hex. Do you see what? See, that is catastrophic. Like, he basically walked up to the line to do that with everything else. And basically, friends, you know what he did as well? On Pdai, when the OA was selling 5996, he approved infinite selling. And that was being spammed everywhere. That gave a lot of fear in our hearts. He approved infinite selling. Not, oh, I'm going to sell 200 million Pdai. No, infinite. And they just left it there. It's almost like a shark circling the prey. I remember waking up in that morning and it was just hearing all that stuff, how it transpired. Now you're basically unshakable. By the way, if you're gonna make a decentralized stablecoin and you want people to hold the line and you don't want people to cheat and you want them to stay in the next bear market, literally every single person in his Twitter spaces, you are on that list right now. He tried to shake you out, you couldn't. He said to sell, you didn't. He put a Vietnamese kid who's right here, flopped out his dong. You didn't sell. He gave you 1,000 reasons to sell. He tweeted 33 times. Matty Allen did a sacrifice to try to get you out. He's got a Richard Hart JPEG die to get you out. He told you to buy Pulsex, buy Burn. That didn't get you out as well. He used the OA to buy Most and Pump to buy other meme coins. That didn't get you out. Literally, nothing could get you out. Literally, he deleted the logo from the Block Explorer. Couldn't get you out. You're basically unkillable at this point. It's basically, you're the perfect warrior now. You're like the Terminator here, right? You're like a warrior now for life.
You know, the thing that keeps me in Sommi is just, you see what's going on in the world. I mean, especially in Australia with these censorship laws that they're trying to put in the UK. If you know, this two-tier policing, you know, laws for immigrants, and then different laws for the locals, and it just feels like the whole world is going crazy, and then you're just getting robbed. You know, the carpet is getting pulled beneath your feet with this money printing and everything else. And you know, whether this goes to $1 or not, I think just that feeling of just, you know, that V for Vendetta feeling of just sticking it to the man, you know, sticking it to the Illuminati, whoever is in charge, you know, because that's, you know, the way that this world is going. They just want us in prison. They want us quiet. They want us to just be little batteries. And you know, if anything, whether your reason for doing this thing, whether it's you know, it's the money or not, I think this Pdai thing just represents the ultimate form of freedom.
Hey BB, your cat's hungry, buddy.
I was about to say.
Yes.
Hey, dude, Mr. Whiskers is angry.
Sorry guys, I'm actually feeding them as I'm saying this. I'm just waiting for their food to cool down. I actually have to cook their fucking food, otherwise they throw up
Lucky
everywhere.
Katsuma's not about.
Having 3 cats.
God bless, man. I
What's
love
that?
cats. Sami, young king.
Lucky Katsuma's not about. You probably won't get the joke. Some people will in here, but you won't.
Sami, young king, thank you for everything you do. You've given me so much motivation. I love how that analogy you gave about the couple staying in the tornado zone, not leaving. I like that. Treating a coin like a business, high conviction, something that drops minus 90% a few times. If that can't kill you, you know, it won't. You won't be taken out. I love that. All those things in combination can create some magic. That's a contrarian play. So yeah, man, you've motivated Sami, you have motivated me tonight. Like next level, buddy.
Hey guys, can I offer something like a bit of perspective from a fence sitter? So basically, I did a post on X a while back saying this is why I sold Pdai. But what actually happened is I clicked sell. I closed on Aptos, Pdai, sorry. Closed my laptop and the transaction didn't go through. And so, yeah, I'm kind of glad that I didn't sell all of it and still got that little moon bag. And as someone who's still a real big noob in crypto, it's, quite confusing and still got a lot to learn.
That no one wants to hear any of it. It's the same thing. That's when I realized when you're talking during big red candles or big green, you're not actually talking to a person. You're talking to an extreme emotion, which can't be reasoned with at all. So that's why you got to do your own actions, and it's entertainment after that as well. It's literally, guys, whenever there's a trade tariffs and Israel, Palestine, bro, no one changes their mind. Literally no one. They go in, I hate you, you hate me. That's it. We fight for 3 hours. Everyone goes home just angry, right? But at least with markets, bro, you can cheat the system. Everyone's stuck in the rat race. You can actually put fiat money in and you can get multiples of it. You can't do that with anything else. That's the difference. That's literally the difference. You literally, if you're right about a bet, you're buying a growing network effect. You can get into early to something. You change your life. You can't do this anything else. That's what makes this thing special.
So the reason I gave in my post when I said, man, okay, I've sold, this is the reason why. The reason why, and I did tag you in it. Did you all really think that Richard Hart would do all of this, and then turn around and go at the end and go, ta-da, no, I was going to peg it.
If your coin goes down more than 95%, you're dog shit.
You're cooked.
It's not a good look. People said Hex can't go down lower because Richard would look like a fool. That's the Hex Maxis. Guess what, man? It doesn't matter how far I send this thing down today. You are literally a sheep. You're going to come back later with the money anyway. And he learned that, obviously. So I guess that probably explains the typical shakeouts, right? What we see, credibility. Bro. So, yeah, good thing you mentioned that, sir, about the credibility of Richard Hart. Like, guys, they're going to believe every story here, Piers. Someone seems to be fixing the Maker Oracle. Golly shit. You know what I mean? Like, it sounds comical. They're going to believe it, man. I saw it. They're literally going to believe it. Like, Bob also, if you're in UFO community, guys, as well, you see this. Like, nothing convinces people. That's it. They just don't. There's no price chart for them, though. That's the thing. There is.
People will associate credibility, and they'll stagnate their perception of that credibility in relation to a worldview which might have been relative at a certain time. But things change, and sometimes you got to go, oh well, my credibility was associated with that at that time because that was true at that time. But the circumstances have changed, the market has changed, something new's come along. I remember ages ago when someone was trying to grill Richard about Bitcoin, and when Bitcoin, when he was a maxi, and they're like, well, you used to be a maxi, He goes, yeah, I know, but things have changed. I've changed my worldview. He's still got the same credibility. In fact, he's got more credibility because he can move with the times. He can update. And I think that is a big problem amongst all crypto, and certainly the way it moves these days is that we have to constantly evolve and change, because things constantly evolve and change. We've got to adapt, and just because we've adapted doesn't mean that our previously held beliefs, which our credibility was tied to, that doesn't disqualify us going forward, and it doesn't dilute our credibility. In fact, probably if anything, it makes us more credible because we're looking at things closely.
Very wonderful, sir. Guys, when Richard had Hex, layer 1 coins were dog shit to him. That's Pulsechain now. Dexes were dog shit. That's Pulsex now. Incentive token was just a pancake swap, useless meme coin with a green logo that just doesn't do anything, inflates. Also dog shit. Richard, literally, his streams were telling people, Don't do yield farming. It's trash. There's exploits. The yield goes down. They're dog shit over and over and over again. By the way, he has all the coins now. Even if you go a step further to that as well, like we're looking at Pdai stuff out here. Maybe there's a stablecoin out here. Like everything is done. Oh, by the way, this honestly, when I saw this next part, the pump tires, I was like, okay, now you can't deny something's changed. Richard Hart launching a freaking meme coin, bro. He's got most. And shout out to the Ricky guys as well. There's most, there's pump, there's just these tickers out. He made another ticker JPEG Dai. He's got literally a JPEG factory, right? So many things happened along the path where, see, people are like, hey, but you're the Old Testament. That's why I split it. Old Testament, New Testament, you know? In the Bible, Old Testament, God is like, you didn't fold your clothes, you're going to get a thunderbolt and you're all dead, right? That's Old Testament God. Then New Testament God in the Bible, they're like, hey, he's Jesus. You can forgive people. Jesus is a rebel, hangs around with Mary Magdalene. She's a prostitute. So things get like, hey, there's a lot of grays in life and you're going to have to like go through that. I feel like that's like the story here. And by the way, it's undeniable at this point, right? Because Old Testament Richard, guys, he made him very, very, very rich at the high. I can't tell you guys how rich they got. Guys, like they made a coffin dancing video. Do you know what I mean? Like you literally 10,000x. There was one guy, Balian Brand. You guys, you have to have appreciation for this. There was literally kids working in Amazon factories for like, $7 an hour minimum wage. He literally retired them. They got hex tattoos. Their lives have changed. So you can understand why his spirit is imbued within them forever. And that's why they're never going to change, really. Maybe, you never know, friends, maybe in a few years, someone's trying to move us to another stable coin. And we're like, no, this is the one stable coin. So their stories, they're not static. That's why what Richard's done is extremely unique. Richard's the only guy where he's like Justin Sun, okay? They can see product market fit and then they grab it. The thing that makes Richard special is Justin is like copy paste. Hey, here's a Chinese version of your stuff, okay? But Richard is more like, how do I make it better? How do I make it cooler? How do I put a better logo? That's the difference what comes here. But, right, if he does all this, why doesn't he tell you to just get into this coin? Now, I hope you guys all understand now, right? If too many weak hand non-believer jeets accumulate a big part of supply on the public open market at the beginning, it's the game for everyone.
Richard Hart's always tweeting when the market's going up, right? And then he'll take breaks when it's going down. I think it's the same shit. Maria said, oh, it's going to peg in February, and it didn't peg. Before that, I think it was, he said it might peg in July, it didn't peg.
The problem is it's very political. So like Pdon said, it's very political. So it might have been it was going to peg back then, and they had plans for that, but politics got in the way, and sometimes that's what happens. Projects have to go on the burner until it happens again. So
But yeah, the way I look at it is like the way you see him speak in person when he's at these meetups is very like calm, collected, and pretty intelligent. And then the way you see him speaking, like maybe he's by himself and he's a lot different on the computer. Like some of us computer nerds are much more toxic online than we are in person, and there's a huge disconnect there. But like, yeah, I think something is deeper with him where he's probably a part of it, or he wants to help it peg.
Politics, where they found the exploit and they want this all to happen. They had to orchestrate it for the price to go down. But why was it? I mean, why would he FUD and Richard FUD and then he exploited it? It all happened all at the same time.
Yeah, that's why it's hard to believe that this wasn't not planned, because like if you think about it, before these auctions, where do we get the P maker? Where do we get P maker into community's hands? Or where do we get P maker to cast a new spell or update a executive contract? There's really none on chain. We could barely come up with, I think it was 4,000 when we had a vote, and then we tried to pass a spell with like Caddy and they could barely come up with anything at all. So like now that we have, so it's good for that reason and to protect from Ethereum potentially coming over. So like these people behind it, if they didn't get the supply, they'd have two risks. They'd have risk of not enough to do things, and the risk of Ethereum coming over and doing things we don't want, canceling everything. It's important that they fudded it kind of right before, got price low, accumulated, and then now we start burning and going back up.
That we're all talking about this.
Perfectly
And
orchestrated.
I don't know if you said that sarcastically, but I was just about
for real.
No, but I was about to say that the other half of the pulse chain community doesn't believe that, thinks that we're all fools and believing this, because this is like, I don't know, it's like Jesus Christ's shroud, is it true? Is it real?
You got to be
or
right
the
or
Holy
die.
Well,
Grail.
if you're really smart, right, and you plan out a murder, you can convince your family that you're a good person, you didn't do it, and the police could see you as a potential suspect, right? So like, there's a, I don't know if that makes sense, but it's very difficult to know the truth sometimes if they're smart and they thought about every move.
But no, to me, I see through people's bullshit quite easily. So that's how my brain works anyway.